And good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, August 20th. Welcome to Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment. So, we have no one signed up for public comment. Let's just jump right into my resolutions. I'm only slightly winded from running from the parking lot. If you'll just give me one moment to breathe and decompress. Thank you so very much. Breathing and talking is a lot. Okay, so, here's my pen. All right, I'm present. Councilmember Catt, I got about 3 more minutes on him. Councilmember Easlick, are you here?
I am here.
Okay, awesome. Councilmember Ewing.
I think I am here.
Councilmember Gadd.
Here.
Councilmember Hancock.
Here.
Welcome. Councilmember Taylor, not present. Vice Chair Vo, I believe, is on her way, and Councilmember Welsh is not feeling well. So we have, I believe, 6 items before us, so we're going to go through those. Then we have the completion, thank you so very much for coming back, for parks and their deferred maintenance list. And then we also have the interim director of Metro Arts, Ms. Paulette Coleman, here to give us an update on what is going on with Metro Arts. So let's jump in. RS 2024-657, Porterfield, Stiles & Welsh approves a sole source contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and OCLC, Inc. to provide software for the Nashville Public Library. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Okay, it seems very self-explanatory. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, then we are 5 in favor, none against. Next up, RS 2024-658, Porterfield, Stiles, Welsh, and others appropriates a total of $508,330,000 from the Nashville Public Library to various nonprofit organizations for the provision of free and high-quality after-school and summer programming through the library's Nashville After-Zone Alliance out-of-school time coordinating system. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I feel like we have had NASA before several times. We know what this is doing. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? None. Motion passes. 5 in favor, 0 against. RS 2024-659, Porterfield, Stiles accepts the terms of a cooperative purchasing master agreement for hardware, software, cloud and technology solutions, technology accessories, and professional services for the Nashville Public Library Department. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Wonderful. Any discussion? Again, pretty straightforward. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Great, motion passes. RS 2024-660, Vo, Porterfield, Stiles, and others approves an application for the National Park Services American Battlefield Protection Program, APBP, or ABPP, Battlefield Land Acquisition Grant to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to partially fund the acquisition of a 2.36-acre green tract at the Nashville Battlefield to preserve the property as a significant contribution to both the Nashville Battlefield and nearby Fort Negley. Can I get a motion? Second. Wonderful. Anyone want to discuss this? I think Councilmember Vo has shared her endeavors to enhance Fort Negley and such. This seems self-explanatory.
It says partially fund. How much is it funded?
Parks?
It's about a third of the purchase price. This grant, we're expecting another one too. Metro shares about $3 million.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. 6 in favor, 0 against. Bills on second reading, BL 2024-476. Referred to the Budget and Finance Committee. Amends Chapter 2.112 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding the membership of the Metropolitan Nashville Arts Commission and the process for approving the criteria for awarding funds. Before we get a motion, I would like to bump this till after we get our parks presentation so we can talk about this with our director being present for Metro Arts. So I'm going to bump down to item number 6, which is BL 2024-479, Porterfield, Stiles, Ewing, and others approves an agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Department of Parks and Recreation and RCX Sports, LLC, to allow parks to participate in a youth basketball program known as Junior NBA. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Wonderful. Any discussion? Yes,
question.
Councilmember Gadd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just would love to make sure, and I'm sure this is the case, but when I was reading through this, I just want to ensure RCX Sports LLC and its youth basketball program, when it says it goes through the junior NBA, I know that probably is going to serve as young boys, but also, does it also
It's
girls,
boys
is it
and
equally girls
girls.
and
It's boys
boys?
and girls.
Because on their website also states something about the WNBA as well.
Yeah, so
I
they have the licensing. All we're changing, we was with the Grizzlies down in Memphis as far as the licensing, and it's my understanding through all the community centers, the kids were having to wear all of the Grizzly stuff, and so by doing it through RCX, they have a licensing with the NBA and the WNBA, so they can, each community center can wear whatever uniform they want to wear when they play other teams. So we're just changing who we're licensing with, so
Yeah.
it's still the same
The
price.
Grizzlies would probably be the Hoops LLC or whatever their
Yeah, so.
legal entity
yeah,
name is.
yeah.
So, okay. So it'll continue,
continue
but it
just like
does
it-
serve young girls.
Right, correct, and all the community centers, and it's only $25, and we give help if
Wonderful.
families need it, so.
Thank you. That was the only question I had.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, motion passes 8 in favor, 0 against. So at this time, I would like to throw it to Mr. Phil Luckett, who is back, who's our Special Projects Manager of Metro Parks, and finish our deferred maintenance presentation.
Right, if y'all need,
Or rather, it's a pause, because we have another
if y'all need to
portion.
stop and move on to somebody else, that's fine. I can always come back again next time. So I didn't print out a bunch of these. Did we give them to you last time, and I think they got sent to everybody digitally. So I'm gonna start on the page that where we left off, which is this is gonna be our Greenway bridges and boardwalk and replacement. And I'll be glad to let y'all see this if somebody wants to.
We'll pass it. We can pass it
Sure,
around, and
go
that way
ahead.
folks.
So this page is, what they are is you'll see one after the dash, you'll say BR, it's bridge, BW, it's boardwalk. So a lot of these bridges were built with wood 20, 25 years ago, and boardwalks, and through weathering and use, is now come to the time that they need to be replaced. So what this depicts is not replacing them with wood. This depicts replacing them with Permatrax, which is a concrete product, okay? And we're looking at something, we want to have a 40 to 50-year life, not a 20 to 25-year life. And we think we can do it. It's a system we're putting in at Brookmead, a small boardwalk section there, and Overlook. It's something that our Greenway people want to look at, and they're on board with, because they realize this is not sustainable, what we're doing. So we're hoping that future longevity, and it's divided up into about 6 different years there. One of those is Stones River Greenway, which has to be totally replaced, which would be next fiscal year that we would ask for that money, because that greenway, a lot of the underpinnings have been washed out from the river. It was not built probably the way it should have been built, to be honest. So the next page after that, and that's about $40 million just on those two. Okay. The next page after that, I believe, is painting, and it'll be painting and stuff inside all our buildings. Just find out over the next 6 years, and that's about, I think it's a little over $2 million. I can't remember the numbers exactly for that. And then the page after that is playgrounds. A lot of the playgrounds on there are 2005 and 6. They were the ones that were put in at schools, but they're parks playgrounds. And so there's about 45 or 46 of those, and a lot of those need to be replaced, along with a lot of other playgrounds that are that age or older. There are swing sets out there from the 70s still, and the 90s, and a lot of that stuff needs to be replaced.
Councilmember Buey, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Could I ask, with the parks playgrounds, how many of them already have the ADA accessible parts to them? And as you're retrofitting and as you're rehabbing some of these, are you considering that, adding that in if
Yes,
it
ma'am.
doesn't exist?
So what we're doing is we're doing away with all natural wood continuation services underneath playgrounds. We're going to either PIP or turf, depending what the conditions are around them. If there's a lot of trees, we'll stay with PIP. The turf tends to get dirtier around that area. We like the turf because we get a longer warranty. but that helps with ADA access. We also always try to design ADA features that stand alone from the structure itself if we have the room. We try to, if we can, incorporate a smaller 2 to 5 area. We try to do that if we can. A lot of these school structures won't have that because it's all going to be 5 to 12 because that's what's at the schools. But we also try to, when we redid Hull Jackson, we included some ADA features for that, and they had a couple, they had one in a wheelchair at that time. And so we tried to make sure we worked with the schools, and we added that. We do work with them. Anytime we do a schools playground, we work with that group. So that is something we think about, and we wouldn't dare think otherwise.
Great, thanks.
And it's about $18 million on that. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Vo has a question.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair. Can you remind us, what are you replacing it with on the greenways? What's the material?
Permatrax. Permatrax, it's a concrete wood product, pre-stressed wood concrete product, sorry. It'll have color all the way through it, not just on the surface. It also has a grit to it that keeps the traction good. Some people have asked, why don't you use Trex? Well, Trex ends up, when it's on wood and it's on a bridge or it's on a boardwalk, if you're on a bike, it's like ice if it's wet. So it's something we don't go down that road. We really have something that has traction and grip to it. The wood can be a problem too, also because we have to pressure wash them quite a bit because once they get algae or something on them, they also become very slick in some of these areas. So we're thinking this kind of product would be a much long-lived product. Plus, it would also help us in maintenance of the greenways because we're always having to replace boards and stuff.
Councilmember Eastland.
I think you kind of answered my question there, and thank you for recognizing me. I think with what we found out about the bathrooms a while back, we tend to overpay when it comes to some of these products. Is the difference in the Permatrax justified based on the number of years added, or is it like 3 times as much as wood, therefore we'd be able to replace it twice with wood and get the same amount or more years out of it by staying with wood?
Permatrax. Wood is 20 years, 25 if you're lucky. Permatrax, they don't guarantee it, but they're saying 40 plus. I mean, it's a concrete product. It's going to be around.
Right, but if it's 3 or 4 times more than
it's
wood,
not quite twice. It's not quite twice as much.
That's the answer.
So
Thank you.
we feel like it's something that the government is not having to pay for time and again.
And not clean, as you stated in that first part.
Right. So it's really,
The replacement,
it's really
I think, is not the whole answer. The whole
No,
answer is
I'm not. What I was bringing up
the
was that,
sealing
like,
and the cleaning that you
like-
have to do with wood that works through the lifetime of the
Stones River Green, how long is it going to be down?
Stones River Green, well, we are trying to get plans right now to actually just repair it so we can reopen it back up for time until on that second set of blocks over there in the top right on the Greenway. There's a number for the Stones River Greenway. It's a little over $8.6 million for us to rebuild that Greenway, and that's what's going to have to happen long term. Okay. So that's where we are with the Stones River Greenway.
Councilmember Hancock.
There's a very short boardwalk at Keeler Park. It's maybe 50 feet long that I added to your list.
Okay, cool.
Way to come in.
Real quickly, let me get to this last page.
Wait, could we go wait 1 second?
Sure,
Because
I'm
Councilmember
sorry.
Vo had a
Yes.
follow-up question.
Thank you. The follow-up is regarding the playground. So, recently we received information about like Blue Cross Blue Shields and like their different programming for healthier like communities. So I was just wondering, like, is Parks leveraging these different opportunities that we have with, various districts? So then this 18 million, if we have partners, we could reduce the cost that's actually on, us as a city. I was just wondering about that.
We're always open to that. Matter of fact, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, our Joe Stovall with our planning group, they're working with them to put in the Miracle Field out at Cedar Hill. And so there'll be a Miracle Field there and possibly a playground also that they're working with them they will fund. So we are doing that right now.
What is a miracle field?
The Miracle Field is one for ADA access for kids. It is going to be made out of a rubberized product, the whole field. So wheelchair-bound individuals and other disabled can play on the field. A lot of big cities have them. There was one proposed in another section of town, and that didn't work out. So now we're looking at doing that, and out at, it'll be right beside the quad on the field that's there now, but that'll be turned into a miracle field.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions before we allow Mr. Luckett to continue?
Okay.
Okay.
Last page. Last page is a couple things on here. Fencing replacement. We have a lot of fence in parks that needs to be replaced, and we don't go with wood in the ground. We do metal post and wood on that, so those last much longer for us. Netting replacement. We have a lot of ball fields that have netting that needs to be replaced. Main water line. We got one at Warner that's in really bad shape, and we're fixing quite constantly. That needs to be replaced. Mowers. We have a lot of non-allocated mowers. Okay, real quick thing. An allocated mower is fleet buys it. If it's a non-allocated mower, Parks buys it, because we don't have enough allocated mowers and stuff. We have to buy non-allocated equipment to help us maintain parks. So some of those need to be replaced. Community Center at West Park. I don't know how many of you know about that community center. Right now, the gym is closed. It's been closed since April. The glulam beams that were put in the 60s, the center opened in 1965, are delaminating. They all three need to be replaced. To do that, we're going through engineering and structural engineers to see what that cost would be. More than likely, the gym will have to be deconstructed. If you're at that point, you need to build a whole new gym. But that gym is 70% of that building. It's one of the old, that area has changed since those were built in the 60s. So now we at the point to where we should look at building a regional center there in that area. So that's probably, I would think, is the smarter move than building that onto an old building we're at this point. The other thing is these same beams are used at Cleveland Community Center.
So that's
So we're
coming
looking
down
at that. They're
as well.
okay right now, but that could be something coming down the road, which we just got that center back in operation from our side, because it used to be Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
So there's some things that were done years ago, and probably that was pretty close to when glulam's were first starting to come out. So there's some issues.
So the idea of rebuilding that particular center, is there conversation about, we're forecasting to try and ask for that money in 2 years?
$17 million is on here. That's what we're spending on O'Hickory Community Center. So that's our closest guess to what road we go down. But in that process, we would have community meetings. They would make sure they bring everybody in. What does the community want in that area? Look at what we can offer in that area from a standpoint, of where that sits. And so all that would go into consideration. So the director wanted me to put that in there just to make everybody aware that this may be where we end up coming back for.
Well,
So total, if you want to know, $139,373,071.06.
Over how many years?
This is about 6 years we've got it all planned out over. Yes, sir. And I think everybody got sent this. Kevin, I think, sent it to everybody.
yes, it came out after the meeting. I want to thank you very much for coming and presenting this information. This is the first time we've really had a breakdown of what the maintenance needs are for parks.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you coming this meeting and the last meeting, and I still think that we probably need to have another conversation
Sure.
with you about how we're moving forward with plans. I know we're talking over 6 years, but it also helps us as we start to go into budget season and we're looking at CIB and CSP.
Right.
What are we looking at for you to make sure that these things are actually taking place?
And that's why I tried to lay this out. We tried to lay this out. The only thing we didn't lay out was paving, and paving will just be worst first. And just trying to bring it up. Get done with the fails, start on the pours.
Thank you for making it simple too, so we didn't have to ask.
I'll make it simple for
What is it?
myself because it makes it easier for us.
Well, thank you again very much for coming.
No problem.
We're gonna circle back. Oh my, former council member Sharon Hurt has joined us. Hello, ma'am. We're going to circle back to BL 2024.
Madam Chair,
You were 100%.
thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
So BL 2024-476, Porterfield, as I said before, amends Chapter 2.112 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding the membership of the Metropolitan Nashville Arts Commission and the process for approving the criteria for awarding funds. The sponsor is here, so we'll allow her to talk about her bill, and then we'll hear from the interim director. Councilmember Porterfield?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot we didn't move before. Who's going to move it?
Second.
Awesome sauce. Now we'll move on to discussion.
Clearly, I'm standing out for.
You are for Jenny. Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you, Chair. I am requesting a one-meeting deferral. Budget and Finance and Rules both voted unanimously for a one-meeting deferral. I do understand that there is some conversation amongst council members, and they're interested in having a greater oversight in how we are expending our funds across the board to outside entities, not just for this one particular entity. So I am calling a specially called meeting so that we can.
God bless you.
Bless you. So I am working on a specially called meeting so that we can have that conversation prior to moving forward with this legislation. So I ask that you all would support a one-meeting deferral, and I will stay in case there are any additional questions.
And when are you looking to hold this meeting? Before the next meeting, the specially called meeting?
Ideally before the next meeting, yes. I have reached out to our council staff. I talked to Director Darby today, and I told her I would send her some dates over. So we are looking and checking the council calendar. So I'm hoping to have within the next day or two a date locked in.
And if you're unable to have the meeting before this comes back before us, you're going to defer this again? Do you need to have the meeting beforehand?
It would be my strong preference to have the meeting beforehand because, again, I am understanding of the fact that some council members are having some concerns about how accountable other entities are when we disperse funds to them. And I think that needs to be part of like a bigger conversation. Like it's not just ours that's part of a bigger conversation, but that will have an impact on this particular piece of legislation. So I think it would just be incumbent upon us to have that conversation before we move forward with this piece of legislation.
Okay.
I'll move for one meeting deferral.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Interim Director Coleman, thank you so very much for coming. Greatly appreciative for being here. So there have been some updates at Metro Arts in the last week, and so I just wanted you to come in and share kind of where we are in terms of the grant process, the work group that has been assembled about the grant process, and also the staff changes that are coming along, and also the Thrive 25 process.
Okay.
Thank you.
First of all, to the members of the Arts, Parks, Library, and Entertainment Committee of Metro Council, thank you for inviting me to come. As you know, I have been the interim executive director of Metro Arts since May 16th. And it's kind of like coming full circle because I also served as the chair of Metro Arts when the public art ordinance was passed, and also when we got the funding for grants up to $2 million. What a difference several years make. We had a staff of 4, we now have a staff of almost 15. We had 3 resignations last Thursday at the commission meeting. Where are we? We are in the process, one, of having settled the MHRC Title VI discrimination complaint. There is a conciliated agreement that was officially signed. Well, it took several days, but by Friday it was signed. On Monday, which was yesterday, we had the first meeting of the working group that was called for in that conciliated agreement. There are 5 members on that working group. There is a representative from Metro Legal, Metro Finance, Metro Human Relations Commission, and Metro Arts. The 4th member of that committee, or that working group, will be determined by the other 4 in a rank order process. It is expected that that person will represent the community and artists. We are scheduled to have our nominations by the end of the week, and there will be a vote, hopefully, a survey, and the rank ordering will take place. Yes.
So, okay, so there's one person from Metro Arts Commission that's sitting.
That's me.
It's going to be you.
Do you want to know who the other people are?
Sure.
Okay. The representative from MHRC is Ashley Batchelder. Most of us know her. She's very active and their policy analyst. The person from Metro Finance is Amanda Deaton-Moyer. And the person from Metro Legal is Macy Amos. These 4 people vote. Tessa Ortiz-Marsh, who is also the attorney for representing Metro Arts, participates in is present but is not a voting member.
Okay.
The conciliation agreement calls for 5, and we have 4 and 1 to be determined.
Okay. And so the 5th member is coming from the community and they're submitting their own names
No,
to you?
the as outlined in the agreement, the 5th person will be determined by
The
the
four
4.
of you.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And then you're,
Councilmember Down?
and then you're using a rank voting process to make that determination.
Right. Each one is asked to make a nomination, and then they will be rank ordered and voted on.
Okay. How can you speak to where things are with the Thrive 25 grants and
As
that
the
conversation?
conciliation agreement requires, our charge is to find a process that maintains alignment with the commitment of Metro to equitably fund and to provide resources for individual artists. As you may know, there is a challenge with that, despite the fact that it's been going on for 10 years. When it started, the grants were like $2,000, $2,500, and they slowly got up to about $3,000. Currently, those grants are at $20,000 for individual artists, okay? What has happened as we become more knowledgeable and with closer scrutiny, we are in violation of state law, and there are also some concerns that we are also not compliant with Metro's procedures for procurement, for vendors, et cetera. So the charge is to come up with an alternative or a new direction, but maintaining fidelity to the commitment to fund artists. And there were 2 possibilities that are outlined in the conciliation agreement. One of them is to find a nonprofit organization who would basically act like a pass-through and fund individuals, okay? The other alternative is, or the other position in, I want to be careful about my words, in the conciliation agreement is that there will be legislation from the council that would allow Metro to provide individual grants. Now, that is in the conciliated agreement. A question can be raised if it is a state law, whatever we do in council will not necessarily be able to impact that. So those are at least 2 of the factors that are alternatives to the program that we have now. What is certain, according to Metro Legal, Metro Finance, and even outside lawyers, is we cannot continue it as it has been done. Where we just got the working group has that as a part of its major agenda to come up with an alternative program. And there are some definite dates. By January 6, 2025, whatever the proposal is should have come to council and been approved, and that will be whatever it will be. There's also a requirement for a robust community engagement process in coming up with whatever the alternative is to what we have now, whatever the new version of Thrive will be. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Coleman. So in terms of the work group, are you saying that they have determined that the process will be finished by January? But is it possible that it would be sooner Are they only meeting once a month, or how often are they?
That's a very important question. The working group is meeting every other week, and if necessary, will meet more frequently. And that is one of the requirements for this fifth person, that they will be able to make that time commitment. The next question is, that is not the only date. If you finish earlier, so be it, but that is the end date according to the conciliation agreement, so that we will not be in violation or not in compliance with the conciliation agreement.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, Vice Chair Vo.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for coming today.
Surely.
I was just curious, what is your plan, like you shared earlier about the resignations? So do you have a plan on what will be happening with the 3 open positions?
One was approved, the position description was approved last night.
What description would that be?
What position? The 3 positions the ones that have not been determined are the Director of Finance and Operations, the Public Art Manager, and the Communications Manager. Those are the 3 positions where we had the resignations. We just got approval this morning from last night for the Communications Manager. The Public Art Manager is being considered. I have not finished the function. The department has to develop a functional position description, which then goes to HR. When HR approves it, it has to go to OMB, and it then has to be entered into the R12, and that's as much of the process as I know. That's how they explained it to me. So we're moving expeditiously to fill those positions, and there is also consideration for, is there a need, based on where we are now, for all of these managers? One of the things that's very interesting about Metro Arts, out of 15 staff members, I think 8 are managers, and some of them are managers with nobody to manage.
Oh, okay.
That is interesting.
Correct.
Okay. Now, Ms. Coleman, yes. Thank you very much for coming and providing this update. I'm sorry, we have Council Member Evans is visiting, and she does have a question, so Ms. Evans.
Thank you for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. Would you be able to describe, like, just based on watching the meetings and what we've been reading, related to the timeline of January? It feels like your runway is going to run out to be able to actually implement a new process. Do you agree or disagree? And because it feels like you're going to end up with, by January at the latest, you'll have something approved, and then you got to market it and have people apply and all that stuff. Can you describe a little bit more about what that looks like?
Not really, and the reason I can't describe beyond that is my preference as the interim executive director would be for us to have the time, whatever time that is necessary, to completely rethink. Since we can't do Thrive, we have to be very, very careful about where it goes and with whom it goes and how they understand the commitment. And so these are timelines that were defined by the conciliated agreement. We are working from Friday to Monday. You have something in place from Monday by the end of the week. I don't know if that speed will be able to be sustained when you have, 4 people who work for Metro and have other responsibilities. It's a high priority, and we're going to give it our best shot. Then the question becomes, what defines robust community engagement? You could make an argument that would be 3 to 5 or 6 months. Well, we don't have that kind of time. So what is very unfortunate is that I have always stated that I don't want to build another grant cycle on an infrastructure that is already problem-ridden. And that has not been heard by everyone. So we have to work strategically and assiduously to get the job done. Yes.
So since the process moved forward without 24 being cleared up, and people have applied already for 25, given the conciliation agreement and what is required, does that feel that the Thrive 25 will not happen so that you can create this new system? I mean, it's not that you just won't do it.
What I'm saying is that we have a responsibility and an obligation to create something that is different than what we have now. Preliminary indications, and very, very preliminary, are that there are not too many nonprofits who are beating the door down to be the administrator. I don't know what will happen, now that all of these things are going on. So what is not getting promoted or advertised, and people may not know, is Metro Nashville was able to fund $546,000 in grants to muralists and to micro-organizations and to small organizations. To me, that is major, especially since those groups were told long before I got here that they would not be funded. So there is money going out. They received their letters over the past few days. They are required to return the letters with, acceptance. And since time has been expended, some of their projects may have changed. They may have to make some adjustments. All of those are able to be accommodated. It is a much smaller group. I think there's 23, 26. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the numbers offhand, but if you'd like those, I can provide them for you. And that, I think, will be very, very positive for the artist community. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
Somewhat. I'm going to let Councilmember Evans ask.
Thank you for recognizing me again, and thank you for that information. I appreciate it. And I guess from the, so is the intent, since we're driving this process based on the results of the conciliation agenda, is the intent then to let the money that we allocated as part of the regular budget for grants then to just roll back into the general fund at the end of this funding year?
Nobody has had that discussion at this point. We're expecting to be able to meet the terms. And I think if anything, whereas we may have had 8 months, I can't remember, 6 to 8 months offhand from the time the call went out to the time the process of reviewing and judging and ranking to the awards, that might become an abbreviated process. But there has been no discussion, even though the word cancellation may have been used, there has been no discussion about that. Everything was on pause. That is very, very true.
Thank you.
Well, I know you said there are not many nonprofits that are knocking down your door. Have you all spoken at all with Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee yet?
Before I got there, I understand that there was a very preliminary discussion. I cannot tell you the contents of it. But just put yourself in several weeks. There are not that many nonprofits that have experience with receiving, having a process, and then distributing large amounts of money. When you think about it, particularly in the disaster relief kind of things, there are only a few. You think United Way, you think Community Foundation. Are they willing? Does it fit within their mission? Then some other, people are on the grants committee and on the commission are thinking, what are other possibilities and how can we do this?
Okay. Did you have a question? Yes, Vice Chair Vogt.
Sorry, okay, I'll wrap up really quick. I was just wondering, because the Chair Estelle said, if people had already applied, is there not a way for us to address, in the interim, while you all do this, with your deadline, so that the grants and everyone who's applied can still go through the process so that funding can be allocated? I'm just trying to understand that.
This is the problem. If there are questions about the grants process, how can we apply, and there are changes that may or may not be made, how can we apply a process that may be changed to a grant that was submitted for something else? Now, if there were 100% certainty there would be no changes, then that is an approach that could be followed. But our charge is to re-examine. It's not only Thrive, but also the operating grants as well.
I will tell you, because I want this to be on the record, I'm concerned that the process even took place this year when, at the time the applications were open, we still had no clue if 24 was going to be funded. So I don't know who made that decision, but that's something to look at, because that was a poor decision. And perhaps, as we look forward, that shouldn't be a decision maker, whoever did it.
Well, yes, you make a lot of sense. I think one of the things we have to appreciate is what our Metro budget cycle is. We don't know really until, what is it, May? Wait, it starts in May, then July. Okay, we shouldn't even be doing anything related to grants until after July. Okay? And maybe we have decided what was the previous year. You maybe go with that, but I think you raise a good point, and that's something we have to consider, that if we don't know the budget until July, we don't need to be making any kind of decisions. And somebody said, well, you could just make them and decide, well, suppose we approve too many. And I was not there, but it was my understanding that there may be a philosophy that says ask for whatever is wanted, needed, and the money will come, but that's not how it works. And so, not at all.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. Thank you for this update. I think we probably need to have you come back, since you're in the work group, to give this committee updates
I
over
will be
the
more than happy
next
to.
month, so that we are not left out of the loop. Unless we get this legislation passed, and then one of us will be present anyway and be able to come back and report. So
The good thing about the working group is many of the because of the nature of Title VI discrimination complaints, the deliberations were confidential and you couldn't be a part of it. That's not the case with the working group. So,
Thank you, Dr.
wonderful.
Coleman.
Thank you very much, Director Coleman. And anyone want to move to adjourn the meeting? Okay, second.
See you in
We are
Bradford,
adjourned.
guys.